What's up, my boomers? It's me, Melanie Mac, here on my social commentary channel, Melanie Mac Go Boom. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. So, for today's video, I'm going to talk about Street Fighter, their new roster lineup, and whether or not I think they've kind of gone woke with it, because there's definitely some changes to be that have been had. Before I dive in, I do want to give you guys another reminder that G Fuel is 30% off with code MAC right now. So if you have not stocked up on your G Fuel needs, use code MAC for that 30% bump. And whenever you do, it helps me out a lot. So thank you all so much, everybody who has been doing that. But let me go ahead and dive into the video. Now, there clearly are a lot of changes going on with some of the characters' outfits. Some of the characters are more covered up, for sure. But I personally do not think this has to do with wokeness. I think it's a stylistic choice. That's my opinion. Some people are kind of mad at it. I find that most people seem to like these changes. But, I've seen some complain and think that they're going woke. And I think that, there's a reason to be apprehensive and to suspect that, given everything that goes on, especially when we've seen what happened with Mortal Kombat, the most recent Mortal Kombat. All of the girls were changed. All of the girls were more covered up while the guys were not, etc., etc. But to me, in this case, it very much looks like a stylistic choice, and I will go into detail on why. Also, when it comes to the female characters, if you think of something like Mortal Kombat, the female characters were all given this exact same body. There was no variation. There's no girls with thick thighs and curvy hips, and no girls, who are larger chested versus, well, they all look like they could wear the exact same clothes and share the same closet. They all have the exact identical body type. And it was just the safe route that they felt. And I do absolutely think that was for woke purposes. I think if they wanted to not make their characters look like strippers, I could still understand that, because even though I don't have an issue with how the other characters looked previously, if they wanted to go for a more stylistic approach, kind of like what Street Fighter is doing here, and kind of venture away from that stripper look, they could have done that. Without completely defeminizing the female characters. And in my opinion, what Street Fighter has done here is given us a more mature style. And when I say mature style, I don't mean mature as in adult entertainment. I mean mature as in like, okay, we wanted to give these characters some style, and we wanted them to not look like they are in a corn parody, essentially. Now, I say that while I obviously don't have any issues with the old style and the old outfits and all that kind of stuff, but I will say, and this is a thing, I'm not on an extreme on either side. This stylistic approach, it's enough to where the characters still look hot, and they still are wearing very they're still wearing very fitted, very flattering outfits, but it's done in a very stylish way that doesn't look like they just clocked out of their stripper job to go fight. If that makes sense. I mean, I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, no disrespect to the old designs. I actually really liked them. But this is a more mature style. And the thing that really makes it sets it apart to me, and that sets this apart from like typical woke stuff, is that you'll find that the male characters as well receive changes. It's not just the female characters. I mean, if you look at Ken here, he's got a full coat right now. I think it looks rad. I think this is just there's just an element of style that is really cool. And so, yeah, you still have some of your shirtless guys and stuff. Like, clearly this is a more sexualized looking, though he has a coat on, but he has a coat and no shirt underneath. It looks rad, though. It's like very stylish, the way that it's done. But I'm just a big fan. And the fact that, I mean, you have Ryu here too with this sash thing added. It's not, like I said, it's not just every guy is shirtless and shredded while every girl got a body, defeminized looking body and more clothes. You have a variety with the body types as well. You've got like Chun-Li here. They kept her thick thighs. Now, people complain that she's wearing the pants, but here's the thing is even in her traditional outfit, this is very similar to it. It's just like a different color palette. Because in her old dress, she still wore leggings underneath. They were just sheer, and now they're not sheer. And this isn't the first time Chun-Li has had pants either. Hold on. I'm getting into other stuff. Here we go. So, I mean, we've seen Chun-Li with pants before. I mean, this is like a bodysuit, but still, I feel like this was a merging of this outfit and what we've seen in her more classic outfit attire. One thing I gotta say that I love is that Chun-Li looks Chinese. And not to say that she totally didn't in this kind of style, and I do like this kind of like anime style, but I think it's neat. I think it's neat. She looks more Chinese now. Less of that like cookie cutter anime style. They actually have some of their own style applied now. And again, not that Street Fighter style was all cookie cutter, but I just feel like there's more style in the art this time around. She's beautiful. She looks beautiful. She's still very curvy. I mean, girl, how can you call this woke? In what universe is this a woke makeover? I mean, dude, she's got her curves, man. So yeah, and here, let's look at Juri, for example. So while you do have some people just are going to complain about Cammy not having her classic butt hanging out, but this is still a very flattering, a very hot outfit and look. I love it. Love the haircut. It just is fierce. And look at those ab goals. Like, this makes me want to go to the gym right now. She looks incredible. She's still got that, like, she's got like that hourglass shape. Her thighs are very strong, very curvy. She looks freaking hot. I don't want to hear anybody act like she got the woke treatment. She looks hot. And let's look at Juri, for example. She is wearing less clothes than she was in the last game. And people want to act like this is all the woke stuff, like everything's all woke. Dude, look at this. There's like you're seeing a lot here. This is less clothes. And I'm fine with it. I don't have an issue with it. Also, with Juri's personality, I mean, she is so flirty and stuff. Her being a lot more provocatively dressed than some of the characters like Cammy, for example, actually fits her personality super well. And this is what I like to see is whenever characters are dressed in a way that suits their personality. So I think this is an A+. I think they really, in terms of style, they have a lot more identity with this style. The outfits, I feel like, really reflect the characters well. Ken, thank goodness, because he looked so stupid in the last game. He looks amazing. It's got like this gruffy, hot look. This hot, gruff look going on. And here's the thing, too, is when it comes to characters and you know, because a lot of people, we like to play as attractive characters. It's fun. But here's the thing, is you don't, the more naked a character does not equate to the more attractive they are. And I think that that's kind of, in terms of like counter woke culture, which I'm on the side of counter woke, but I think there's an extreme to it. And I think that you don't have to make characters as naked as possible to make them attractive. there's something, I think that a huge part of a character's outfit should depend on their personality and stuff. And I think that they've done a good job with this. So it's not woke just because the characters aren't naked. They still are able to portray a very, you've got like the diverse body types here. You've got, some more curvy than others. And then you've got the outfits that reflect their personality. To me, this is perfect. As someone who loves art, I'm just blown away by this. I feel like the style choices and whoever designed the outfits just really have a good grasp on fashion and what works in a really cool way. So I'm a big fan. I could just gush about this. I really want to see what Vega looks like if he's in the DLC, which I really hope he is. Because they just knocked it out of the park for me. I'm a huge fan of this. I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comments. But let me go ahead and read some recent comments from my recent videos. This says, regarding the thing about someone saying demons aren't telepathic, it's like they probably are, like with intrusive thoughts and so many trolls sounding the same. And this is a good point because like you do see that a lot of people who are, especially anti-Christian, this, that, why do they always say the same things? They do. And demonic possession / oppression. Exactly. It would seem to indicate that they'd have some access to human minds. They would be fallen angels, the same kind of beings, physiologically, whatever that would be. So probably angels also would have the same basic abilities. Either way, though, despite however powerful such creatures are, they fear God and are limited in their set of actions by him. So whether praying internally or externally, it doesn't matter who's eavesdropping. I think this is really well said. And here's the thing is, I do kind of want to dive into this more because I'm not totally sure. I've always been taught that like, okay, demons can't read your mind and all that kind of stuff. And that very well may be true. But this definitely got me thinking and wanted me to look into it more. All right, Luna says, do you think that churches are not talking in depth enough about how someone is truly a Christian? I find it really sad that most people don't know what it means to be a true Christian in general with society, but sadly, even in lots of churches, people think that going to church on Sunday and reading the Bible sometimes and saying Jesus is the Son of God makes someone a Christian, when in actuality, they could easily not be saved. Being saved is believing that Jesus is the Son of God and also having a spiritual connection with God. I know there are a lot of Christians, people who don't know the difference, and it's incredibly scary. And and a lot of the blame is that churches aren't diving into what it means to be a true Christian at all. Lots of the churches are teaching the Bible at surface level, and because of that, people who think they are saved aren't at all. They are what I call scholars of the Bible. I hope this is discussed more within church, so more people will come to the realization that they aren't truly saved yet and turn to God to be his true child. They say being a child of God is a narrow road, but it's a more narrow road than what people think it is. I think this is well said, but also I kind of struggle with this because I don't want to get into Pharisee-like territory, you know what I mean? And so that's something that I've wanted to study a lot more before I really openly speak more about this, because first of all, I can't say whether someone is truly saved or not for the most part. I mean, there's going to be some indicators that we can see, and we can judge people by their fruits. So there's a degree to it. Not everyone who says they are a Christian are in fact a Christian. And it's just, for me, this is why I want to dive more into it. I want more opinions on it. And I also want to study it more in general, is that balance between, obviously, yes, we're saved by grace and accepting Jesus Christ as our personal savior and not by our works and not by righteousness. But there is an element of wanting to keep God's commandments as well. And there's verses that back that up. So if you don't want to, if you're just like, okay, I said it, I'm going to live my life however I want, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to just completely live for your flesh with not even any ounce of guilt, and not even any ounce of effort to try to keep God's commandments, then can you truly be saved? I don't see how that would be possible. But this is something that, and I do agree that too many churches are just teaching fluff and not more serious stuff, and making people kind of reflect and look at their faith more seriously. But yeah, this is definitely something I do want to dive more into, but I really want to be careful about it because I do not want to get into Pharisee-like territory. So it's it's something I gotta definitely take into account and pray about. Bones of the Berserker says, I believe the covenant between God and his children is protected. Demons cannot hear. They only know what you allow them to know. This was also a good point. I think that if people are worried about when they're praying out loud, if a demon's going to hear or something like that, all their personal stuff, God is going to protect us still. And God very well God knows our thoughts before we even think them, as let alone speak them. So if for whatever reason, God definitely has the power to say, hey, dude, leave. I'm having a conversation with my child right now. Mike says, God, I wish I had time to teach this, but in a nutshell, when able, we should always pray out loud. Our authority in the earth is only exercised when we speak. Praying in your mind is nice, and when casting your cares on the Lord is perfectly fine. But when you want to take authority over a situation, your voice has to be heard. I thought this was really well said. It really put a lot of things in a perspective with me. And all I'm saying is, when I started incorporating a loud, audible prayer out loud to God every day, as I've been doing a little bit the past couple days, since I've kind of stumbled on this kind of revelation, I've noticed a big difference. And so I definitely would advise people try it. Not every prayer you say has to be out loud, but I think, striving for, have a talk with God once a day where you're talking out loud. It is very impactful. Randall says the only reason God allowed Satan to do all those things to Job was because God knew Job would never turn against him like Satan thought he would. That's why God not only gave Job things back, he gave him more, because he was very happy with Job. Personally, I just try my hardest, and if I screw up, I ask God to forgive me. That keeps me in relationship with God, which is the most important thing. Michael says, I was skeptical trying G Fuel at first. Now it's my go-to when I need a drink. Also, those Empire covers for Lord of the Rings of Power are all cringe. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Thank you for using code MAC. Luciano says, who the heck puts a white mage as a knight? Yes. All right, let me go ahead and dive into the verse of the day. I know I did a lot of Christian talk today in the comments, and if people have an issue with it, hey, this is my channel. This is how it is. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to like it, but this is how I run my channel. All right, Luke 6:45 says, the good person out of the good treasure of his heart produces good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. And this is just really impactful, because a lot of times people want to blame sin, and they want to blame anything, like the wrong things that we do on outside factors. But here's the thing. Oh, I read that and my screen was a little tilted. But anyway, the thing is though, what the sin that we do comes from within. It means it's already been there. No one can tempt you to do something that's not already, it's called temptation for a reason. So that'd be like if somebody wanted to tempt me to eat a plate of onions, it ain't gonna work. They'd be like, ooh, look at these onions. Don't they smell amazing? Don't they look so good? You should eat them. Like, I ain't gonna do it because I don't like onions. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter how they present these onions. It's not going to do anything for me, and I'm not going to eat those onions. However, if somebody were to have a plate of pizza and be like, ooh, don't you want some pizza? Doesn't this look good? Look at how the cheese is all melty. Look at the pepperoni and the mushrooms. Just smell that pizza. I'm gonna be like, oh man, that pizza sounds amazing. I need it. Like, it's going to be a challenge for me not to eat that pizza. And so, when it comes to temptation and stuff in general, like, yeah, it's because it's a struggle, because it's part of our own fleshly struggle. And so also when it talks about just the things that we say, okay, just the things that we say. And a lot of times, sometimes someone will say something and then you try to take it back later, and it's like, well, if you said it, like, that's the thing. The mouth speaks what's on the heart. So sometimes you let the truth slip out a little bit there, and it hurts. So yeah. And that's why if somebody is saying a lot of hateful things and a lot of terrible things, then they have a hateful heart. And so I think that that's important to work on our hearts. We don't have to worry about saying bad things if our hearts are good, because we're not going to want to say bad things, because that's not in us. So we all have problems. Nobody's perfect. And so that's why we all have to constantly and daily try to improve and work on ourselves. So anyway, there you have it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It is going to be the weekend at the time that I'm filming this, because today's Friday. So I do take weekends off now. But I will see you all again on Monday. And until then, go boom.